All right, well, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming today. Help us celebrate our groundbreaking. Before we really hop into it, I wanted to recognize and thank a number of our elected officials and other dignitaries that are here. I'd like to start by recognizing and thanking Governor Kathy Hochul for coming out today. I'm going to run through a list that they just handed me of people that accepted to come, so I'm not sure if you're here or not, but and please hold your applause to the end. There's a little bit of a list here. Senator Alexis White, Assemblyman Doug Smith, John Flanagan, formerly Senator and Majority Leader of the New York State Senate and now Vice President of Northwell, our Steve Bellone, our County Executive, Brookhaven Supervisor Ed Romaine, Long Island's Mayor Paul Pontieri, Mayor of Village of Patchogue, Dave Capel, former Mayor of Greenport, Neil Foley, Councilman, Town of Brookhaven, Jonathan Kornreich, Brookhaven Town Councilman, Carol Longworth, Vice President, Regional Director, Empire State Development, Fred Braun, Chairman of Brookhaven Industrial Development Agency, Matt Cohen, CEO of Long Island Association, Mitch Pally, CEO of Long Island Builders Institute, Matty Arasich, I saw Matty right there, President of Nassau Suffolk Building Trades Council, Mark Herbst, sitting next to him, Executive Director of Long Island Contractors Association, Kevin Hims, President, Ronkonkoma Chamber of Commerce, Dawn Hopkins, President, Lake Ronkonkoma Civic Association, Kevin Guilfoyle, Vice President, Holbrook Chamber of Commerce, Evelyn Volgraff, President, Ronkonkoma Historical Society. I'd also like to thank and welcome our construction lenders, ING, represented by Jeff Schwartz, Elizabeth Whitworth, and Craig Bender. Now, everybody here knows that it's not easy to develop or build on Long Island. It takes years for us to be able to stick a shovel in the ground. And while this project has its own unique set of challenges, which Jim's gonna talk about in a few moments, this project came about because of our elected officials and the leaders of our community organization coming together and supporting a common cause. This project started because of the Ronkonkoma community and their desire to create a walkable, transit-oriented development by revitalizing a blighted area that's seen better days. Celebrations like this, groundbreakings, grand openings, and events like this cause me to reflect on what it took to get here and the many, many, many people who have played key roles in helping to bring this event about. Now, Jim and I started TriTech 35 years ago. We've developed many projects, and I can say for sure that this is the best example where multiple layers of government have come together with community organizations and the private sector to support revitalization efforts of a community. This is arguably the best transit-oriented development site on the East Coast. We're at the intersection of road, rail, and air. This is a regionally transformative project. It's ideally situated for a walkable community where we can provide 1,450 desperately needed multifamily homes. In addition, we're providing recreational opportunities, retail, entertainment opportunities, and work environments. This project is already serving as an economic catalyst for Ronkonkoma and Greater Long Island. Now, we have a few special guests here today, and I don't want to steal anyone's thunder. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our speakers. I'm going to start with my partner for over 35 years and my brother for even longer than that, Jim Coughlin.
One thing at a time. Thank you, Bob. And thanks again to all the electeds and dignitaries that have come out here, but also thanks to all of you. I mean, I think anybody that's here is probably here because you had an impact on our ability to get this project going in one way or another. And so I want to thank everybody that's here for whatever you've done to help TriTech get this started. We thank you, and we truly, truly appreciate it. Of course, I too want to personally thank Governor Hochul for coming down here and Supervisor Romaine for showing up. It has taken every single layer of government to make this project happen. And as Bob said, it really took the community to get it started. So it is definitely the most transformative project that we've ever been involved in. And we've been involved in a few transformative projects, starting with the grandfather of all transformative projects, the Village of Patchogue. And of course, we've been lucky enough to work in Lindenhurst and in Patchogue, now in Bayshore as well. But the difference there was each of those projects was an existing downtown where there was a walkable community that needed a shot in the arm. It needed feet and fannies on the street and in the restaurants, and disposable income brought into those downtowns to give them an uplift of an existing community that was already there. Here in Ronkonkoma, there's no downtown. We're creating the downtown. We're going to create the village, and that was a request and a demand from this community starting way back in the 80s. And a little bit of history, everybody, most of the people here are old enough to remember that the LIE wasn't there until the mid-60s, right? And so this area of central Suffolk didn't have the density that it has now. It had very little density. And as the LIE came through, the sprawl came through with it, and we had very Euclidean view of what suburbia should look like. And we had single-family homes, with dotted strip malls, with the pizza deli, nail salon, and bagel place, and no real plan. And we also had the emergence of the regional malls. But before that sprawl came through, most of the population lived on the shorelines, and that's where our villages are, historically. Those villages were decimated by those malls, and then ultimately the big boxes. But as the sprawl came through, there was no downtowns created through that core of the island where now a lot of our population lives, up and down the spine of the island. So here, and the decisions about zoning then, well, nobody wants to live near the train station. So let's put uses near the train station that also nobody wants to live near, right? So we'll put, heavy industrial and printing machines and truck repair places and things like that. Well, that was, the 60s and the 70s. And in the 80s, by the late 80s, these train stations became more of a front door, really, for the area around it. And so this now became a very densely populated suburban community whose front door wasn't really attractive, right? It was, and really kind of scary, right? It was really, so if you're a commuter, you're walking off into that every night and walking through it every morning. If you're a visitor, you're like, is this Long Island? Is this what you have to offer? And the community started to say, we don't want our front door to look like that. We want our front door to be more inviting. And so they pressured the town of Brookhaven to study that. And through the 90s and the 2000s, the town did just that. And in 2010, the town said, we're going to do a blight study to make sure that it's documented that this needs to change. And we're also going to form a committee of 18 people that represent this community, meaning the town of Brookhaven, the town of Islip, Suffolk County, all the IDAs, town of Brookhaven IDA, Islip IDA, Suffolk County IDA, the local civics, local chambers, and other local leaders, to try to get developers to say that they would act as master developer on behalf of the town of Brookhaven to fulfill that vision that all those studies said should happen. And what those studies, of course, said should happen is that it should be a walkable, transit-oriented development to be the front door of the community. So TriTech was selected. I think there were 12 proposals, from national and local developers, and we were, thankfully selected to be the master developer and signed that contract in 2012. But if it wasn't for the commitment from every layer of government, it would have kind of probably stopped right there, because there was a lot needed from every layer of government to make this possible. And I'll start with the state. Right off the bat, the state said, we know that there's no sewer in that area. We know that that's going to take a long time to create. We know you don't know how you're going to pay for it yet, but we'll give you $4 million to design it, because we know that's going to take a while to get that thing designed and ready to go. And then following up on the state's involvement, a relatively new lieutenant governor by the name of Kathy Hochul came down here, 2015 I think it was, and we met for 3 hours in the Ronkonkoma train station with LARR representatives, MTA representatives, Town of Brookhaven representatives, Carol Longworth, and the edict was, how can we make the state of New York help this project actually get over the goal line? And we said, parking. And everybody kind of looked like a puppy, like, what is that? Why parking? And we're asked to bring all these uses into this downtown, this new vision of residential and retail and office. Well, rents for those things in central Suffolk County, particularly even at that time, they can't afford to pay for parking garages. they don't support it. So you're not going to get the money to build them. And so the state recognized that, and next year we were designated a significant regional project. And then in 2018, the legislature, again under the pushing of the lieutenant governor, but also our Senate Majority Leader at the time, John Flanagan, they passed legislation to include a $50 million grant to help pay for that parking infrastructure that makes this project and those type of uses possible. I think Governor Hochul, you have walked the walk on economic development here for the project for 6 years. You've been instrumental in it, and we thank you for being here today and for all that you've done for this and for everything else on Long Island, the economic development that you've spurred. It's obvious and appreciated. Thank you very, very much. At the county level, welcome, Steve. Good to see you. Thank you for. Steve was along for this project from day one. He helped negotiate that $4 million grant to help design the sewer system, even though we didn't know how we were going to pay for it. But then he also said, Peter Scully, go figure out how to pay for it. So Peter came and met with us, and he said, TriTech has to pay for it. We said, no, TriTech can't pay for all that. But we created a public-private partnership that we did pay for a lot of it, and we did guarantee a lot of the bonds for it, and that allowed the county then to create a really groundbreaking financial structure for a $35 million piece of regional infrastructure that has 1.5 million gallons of capacity, of which we only need 400,000 for this whole project. There's 1.1 million gallons left for this whole regional activity around here, for the airport, for the south side of the hub here, for the industrial around here, the retail around here. So the county is huge in getting that piece of infrastructure done, and they've also given us several jumpstart grants where we've been able to get assistance for the $15 million with the roads and utilities and other infrastructure that need to be done here to somewhat offset that exposure. So the county has been hugely instrumental, and thank you, Steve, for your leadership and guidance on that. Thank you. But as I said, this from the late 80s and through the decades and through many administrations, it was a town initiative driven by local organizations. And this administration under Supervisor Ed Romaine and his team, including Neil Foley, a councilman, and Dan Panico, deputy supervisor, and the then commissioner of planning, Tullio Bertoli, we've actually gotten incredible amounts done, accomplished. Not just talked about it, but created the first form-based zoning code on Long Island, where again, I referred to our Euclidean zoning before, where uses were defined in certain areas and nothing could cross over each other. And we took an approach to say, no, what should this look like? How should it feel? How should pedestrians be encouraged to interact through it? How should people be encouraged to enjoy the public spaces? And let the uses fall where they may within that form. And that was a huge breakthrough. And then the studying of the secret process for, as Bob said, 1,450 homes, 360,000 feet of office, medical, or industrial, 195,000 square feet of retail was a very big task, and the town undertook that and pushed it over the goal line. There's been countless other hurdles that the town has had to work through with us, but those have been huge. And not to mention, current Commissioner of Planning, Beth Riley, working through all the site planning and the permits to actually get Phase 1 built, actually get Phase 2 started. That whole vertical, cooperation and government assistance and support, that's what allows us to bring private capital here. Our job as developers is to find money from off of Long Island, bring it here to Long Island to build assets on Long Island by paying Long Island companies to hire Long Island people to build them. Right? And so that is the goal of being a developer on Long Island. And that has allowed us at TriTech to date, we've brought in $435 million of capital between Phase 1 and Phase 2. When we're done, we'll have invested over $750 million easily. Depends on what the future phases hold, but it'll easily be over $750 million. It'll create over 10,000 jobs. The ripple effect of that spending here in the Ronkonkoma area is billions of dollars. and the home values in this area, just like every other community that we've worked in, we'll see a significant increase. And that's what we're all doing this for. And we're super proud to be a part of it, and again, appreciate all the support from all layers. I do want to thank our TriTech team as well. And TriTech has an immediate team and an extended team. It's kind of like your brothers and sisters and your first cousins and your second. When you're an Irish family, there's a lot of layers. So, and the same is true with the TriTech family. We have, we have the immediate family. Of course, as Bob said, we've been in business as a 35-year overnight success. Thanks, Bob, for all of that. I'm not going to stand up here without thanking my wife, who was supposed to be here. If she's not here, you guys will swear I thanked her. Right? I mean, it's my beautiful wife, and we just celebrated our 30th anniversary 2 weeks ago. She's been with TriTech almost from the beginning. But also the extended, the team that's come to agree to work for us. We have over 70 people at TriTech. I don't think anybody will argue. Well, somebody will argue, but we have the best team on Long Island. We have the best project delivery team on Long Island. We've been super lucky that these people have said, yeah, Bob and Jim, we'll come work with you. We get what you're trying to do. We want to be a part of it, and we'll spend our careers with you. I think we have an average longevity of, I don't know, close to 20 years or some crazy number. Once you're in, it's like Hotel California. You can't get out. We're really blessed with them. And then our extended family at TriTech is all of our trade contractors, our consultants, our designers. I can't name all of them here today, but I'm going to name a few of the companies. I mean, we have Niles Bolton Architects, VHB Engineering, H2M Engineering, Graylick Engineering, just on the design side for this phase. Obviously D3, we did a lot of the master planning of the overall project. And then our trade contractors, many of whom we've worked with for decades, most of whom we know very, very well. Many of them we call friends. And the people that they employ, the local men and women of labor. I mean, we have thousands of men and women working on our jobs at any given time, and they show up good weather or bad, show up pandemic or no pandemic. They actually build the product with skill, integrity, and a commitment to making something great for their community. And we couldn't be prouder of our relationship with labor, and we appreciate Matty Arasich and all the labor leaders that are here today. Always been there to support us, come to our public hearings, support our projects, and we couldn't be more thankful. So, again, it goes up and down the line. This is, it takes a village to build a village. We're building a village. I know we're going to be proud of it. It is the most transformative thing that we're lucky enough to be a part of, and I know everybody here had a piece of it. So, again, I thank each and every one of you. Let's celebrate today. You've all earned it. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Bob to introduce our esteemed speakers.
That was the best I've heard Jim speak. That was amazing. Good job. I better thank my wife, too, because after that, I'd be in a lot of trouble if I didn't. So now I get the distinct honor of introducing our governor, a woman whose accomplishments are too long for us to read or recite. Jim mentioned that Governor Kathy Hochul has been a friend of this project for many years. Her support, her efforts over the years have been critical to our success in getting here today. I can assure you that without the support of Governor Hochul and the state legislature, John Flanagan, thank you, we would not have been able to build this project. Governor, I also want to compliment you on your wisdom for bringing Kevin Law on board to chair the Empire State Development. It seems we both know how to bring top talent onto our team. But in all sincerity, as Jim said, we thank you very much. I appreciate everything you've been doing. And with that, I'd like to introduce the governor. Please come up and say a few words.
Good morning. This is a spectacular day. Not just the fact that it's sunny and beautiful and nice temperature for November, but what an incredible accomplishment that we're celebrating today. And I have many, many thoughts. First of all, to be introduced by a couple of Irish lads. It turns out our grandparents left the same county, County Kerry, and my grandparents came over with nothing, fleeing great poverty. Nothing but a dream that their lives could be better in this great country, and worked as migrant farm workers and domestics, and worked at the steel plant in Buffalo, which is why I'm from Buffalo. But that story is replicated thousands and thousands of times. And to see the Coughlin family harness that sense of risk-taking in their DNA that comes when people leave the security of a home and are willing to start in a new land, but also what you are doing and your grandparents would be so proud is that you're creating the American dream for thousands of people right here in your beloved Long Island. So I want to thank the Coughlin family, Jim, Bob, Kelly, all the spouses who go through everything as well, and I want to thank you for your vision for Long Island. You mentioned many of the partners, and I just want to acknowledge some of the elected officials who are here too. As the former majority leader knows, I approach government in a collaborative way, and I want to thank John Flanagan for the way he welcomed me as the president of the Senate, and was actually a lot less fighting than you would have thought. We actually got along very well. It is his leadership that we still benefit from here today on Long Island. I want to thank him for what he has done. Our Senator Alex White is here, as Doug Smith, our Assembly member, County Executive Steve Belone. Thank you, and I want to tell everybody, when you have a crisis, when you have something the scale of a global pandemic, there is no one you'd rather be in a foxhole with than Steve Belone. Your leadership during this pandemic, County Executive, was extraordinary, and I want to thank you for what you've done there, but also your vision for these important economic development projects and how we get them over the finish line. Let's give a round of applause to Steve Belone. And I spent 14 years as a local government official. Now, why did I run for office? Because I didn't like what my town board was doing. I was a citizen activist trying to manage the development. My mom had a small business that I helped start in a little village, and the pressures of the big box stores coming were going to destroy the heart and soul of my little village. That's why I ran for office when the town board members just ignored me, and I said, okay, I'm coming at you. So I want to tell all the town board members and Supervisor Ed Romaine and for your leadership, and Neil Foley, I know how tough it is, but I also know the power of local government because you're the closest to the people. And I work with my IDA for nearly a decade and a half to make sure that we incentivize good projects to come. So I know the critical role that you play. I want to thank you for believing in this project and so many others as well. Matt Cohen, the president and CEO of Long Island Association, thank you, Matt, for your leadership. I look forward to continuing to work with you. Had spent a little time with your predecessor. And Kevin Law, thank you as co-chair of the Regional Economic Development Council as well since its inception. You were the one who brought the important projects to the attention of the state, and I'm very, very proud to have you leading the charge again, not just on behalf of Long Island. You can't play favorites anymore. You got to love the whole state, okay? But as the chair of the Empire State Development, Kevin Law, let's give him a round of applause. And Mitch Paley, the executive director of the Long Island Builders Institute. I see Maddie Arisich. When I see Maddie, I know there's hard-working men and women standing with you. To all of our friends in labor, the ones who just make this magic happen, I thank you. I come out of a family of contractors, electricians, plumbers, longshoremen, and steelmakers. So I bleed labor as well, and I want to thank you for all you've done. Let's give a huge round of applause to our friends in labor. You know, I remembered that meeting we had at the Ronkonkoma train hub, and you showed me the plans on a table. And I said, these guys are kind of crazy. Can they do this? And I love that sense of possibility that so many people who've made this community as strong as it is and really had to spend a lot of time righting the wrongs of the past. That has been what we've had to do in communities all over the state. The decisions that were made, whether it was in my hometown of Buffalo, putting the steel plant, polluting the waters and the air on the most precious land we have on the waterfront of one of the Great Lakes. I've seen mistakes since I was a child. And what you saw here was the opportunity that people want to congregate closer together. The idea of just living out in suburbia isolated is not the dream that our children have for a good future. They want their kids to be able to have walkable communities and to have transportation-oriented development, a phrase that no one even talked about until visionaries said, why not? So you see properties and say, I see a vision there, and all of us have worked hard to make it happen, but it starts with people who believe in this community and say we can do things better. That is my philosophy for the state of New York. I see the possibilities. I've worked in every level of government. I know what can be done when people work together at all levels of government on behalf of their communities, and that's what this community has done here. This is extraordinary. I'm proud of this new phase that we're announcing. You heard all the details on it. It's going to be a major investment. It creates jobs. I love the jobs that are being created, the construction jobs, but also the permanent jobs. But it's going to give people the dignity of a beautiful home in a place that's accessible to other amenities and entertainment, and help our small businesses that were hit so hard during this pandemic, the new ones who want to start, the new ones who want to find a new home here. These are the people we have to look out for. It is the small businesses that define our local identities. It is not the chain stores in suburbia, no disrespect to the chain stores in suburbia, but it's all about the identity of the mom and pop shops, the small entrepreneurs, the small restaurants that make us unique. And I want to continue to support projects like this. And I'll continue supporting the infrastructure projects to bring Long Islanders in a whole different way to their jobs, whether they're on Long Island or whether they work in the city of New York. Literally, when you see me wearing my boots, you know it's a good day because I'm doing something fun. I had these boots on 7 o'clock Sunday morning when I took the inaugural train ride, and I said, so I'm the first one on this? You're going to test ride this with the governor of New York? What does that say about how you feel about your governor? Okay, we did it successfully. It was very successful. We went to Jamaica Station, East Side Access, show up at Grand Central Station, and the experience 1 year from now is going to be extraordinary. That's what our commuters deserve, extraordinary experiences. This is the state of New York. This is not a third world country, and everybody deserves to have that, and that's why I'll be making another announcement about Penn Station just a few hours from now, because I'm tired of saying that we are second class in anything. And when it comes to our transportation hubs, we should be first class and nation leading, in fact, global leading. And that's what we've done with the LIRR improvements, what we're doing to create more access. I have to tell you, the third track, there was not a single time that I met Kevin Lawler, he didn't say those words to me. Third track. So you got to get done. So we are plunging into the future. We're getting it done quickly. And this Ronkonkoma Hub, this station, is going to be a point of real pride for all of us. This is a model for the rest of the state. What you've done here, the partnerships you've created, the vision you executed, is what I want to replicate all over the state. We'll always remember this day. Phase 1, Phase 2, and all the phases in the future. This is the day that you saw a transformation that is going to be replicated all over the state, and I thank everyone for having the vision. Happy to have state support, and we're just getting warmed up, Long Island. And I will tell you, we're going to have more projects like these because of the people who never stop believing. That's what this is all about. Thank you for joining us today.
These acts keep getting tougher to follow. Thank you very much, Governor. Our next speaker is a familiar face, particularly when it comes to revitalization and economic development. Suffolk County Executive Steve Belone has been a supporter not only here at the Ronkonkoma Hub, but every other project that we've worked on to help revitalize the community around the county. Starting back with Patchogue Village, our Long Island Mayor, Paul Panieri. Every time I say Paul Panieri, I get another beer from Paul. So, yeah. County Executive Belone and his team has always been available to help us solve problems, particularly our infrastructure problems. Jim had mentioned them before, our sewer issues, our road issues. He and his team have been fantastic to work with, and we want to thank you very much for all your efforts, Steve. If you would mind coming up and saying a few words, appreciate it. Thanks. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Good morning. Like Bob and Jim, I feel like I should start out by thanking my wife. Actually, Jim, when you told that story, I remembered back in my first election campaign, I got up and forgot to thank my wife. And surprisingly, she has continued to mention that. It is great to be here. Governor, thank you for your wonderful words and your incredible support here. And you're absolutely right. This is an amazing day for all of us, not just in Suffolk County, Long Island, but for New York. This is such a special and important place in economic development, and your leadership in economic development issues as Lieutenant Governor and your continued support here is absolutely critical. So thank you, Governor. You can't, of course, do a transformative, game-changing project like this without visionary leaders in the private sector, and that's what the TriTech team is. They've been, as I've said, at another transformative project in my hometown in Babylon and Lindenhurst just a short time ago. The TriTech team has been at the forefront in our region of building the kind of projects that are absolutely critical for us to grow and be successful over the long term. So Bob and Jim, thank you, the entire TriTech team, for the incredible work that you are doing here. The governor was spot on in talking about this gentleman, Kevin Law, co-chair of the Regional Economic Development Council all these years. And I give great credit to Bob and Jim for bringing him on board to help lead into the future projects like this and many others. Kevin, thanks for all that you have done. Appreciate your leadership. You can't do a project like this without everyone coming together and working together. And why I think this is such a important model, this project, the place we're standing on, is the intersection of two towns. Right now, of course, we're in the town of Brookhaven. I want to thank Supervisor Romaine and Councilman Foley for their leadership here. Of course, we're just north of the town of Islip. The MTA, of course, the railroad is here. And we have the airport here as well, so the federal government and the FAA is involved. Basically, every agency and level of government is in some way involved in this site right here, which makes you wonder why Bob and Jim thought this was a good idea to try to build something here. But despite all that, despite the challenges we have seen in getting things done on Long Island, this is happening. And that in some ways is a miracle. But it gives me great hope and optimism for the future, because if we can come together, and I want to thank Senator Flanagan for his leadership and the work and the support he's given to this project, if we can come together across party lines and across governmental lines and levels of government to coordinate and work together to move forward something that is transformative for this region, then there is hope for us. There is hope for us. And this project really is a innovation and transportation hub for Long Island. Double track. Thank you to Mitch Pally from his work on the MTA board in pushing. Talk about third track, Governor, double track. We were over and over again. We got to build double track. Third track, all the way to, on the main line, all the way into Penn. We are 2 train stops away. Supervisor and I like to talk about this. 2 train stops away from Brookhaven National Laboratory, a global institution where, Governor, we can relocate a train station to create a Brookhaven National Lab station. We have the airport here, the region's airport, working to effectively connect this site and Ronkonkoma South to that airport will be something else that is transformative for this region. So this is an incredibly important place. It's an exciting moment. I want to thank our friends in labor. Matt Arasich, thank you for your leadership. Mark Herbst from Long Island Contractors Association, thank you as well. And my good friend Paul Pontieri. We're just north of the great village of Patchogue, a great downtown. I get a beer. Whenever we would end the marathon here, the mayor would always greet me with a beer at the end. He is a good man. So thank you to everyone who helped make this possible. This is a great day for all of us on Long Island. Thank you.
All Stephen mentioned that really took all levels of government, and he's right. And sometimes you forget about all the levels of government you dealt with. We did deal with the FAA, or we're still dealing with the FAA. But I want to make sure I mention, I saw Jim Tullo here. I think Lisa Mulligan, Fred Braun from Brookhaven IDA have been fantastic to work with all the way through this process, continue to be fantastic to work with. Now, our next speaker, since he first came to office, Supervisor Ed Romaine, has been a fierce advocate for revitalization, economic development, particularly transit-oriented development here at the Ronkonkoma Hub. Over the years, we've worked very closely with the Supervisor and his team to make sure that we knew what the community wanted and needed, and that we were going to provide that infrastructure and the design. As I believe everyone knows, land use really is where local politics, the rubber meets the road. And it's not always to do what you think is correct as an elected official at the local level. And Ed has always stood up and done what he believes is right, and he's been always here to support us in our economic development quest and revitalization efforts. I also want to say thank you to Ed's team, Beth Riley, Lee Raitt, Tara McLaughlin, wonderful group to work with, and their extended group, and Neil Foley, which I'll introduce in a minute, but all of the council people have been great to work with as well. And Ed, would you mind coming up and saying a few words? Thanks.
Well, thank you. Welcome to the governor. A governor that has visited all 62 counties multiple times, knows the state backwards and forwards, and has been to this site several times and has thrown her support. Thank you, Governor. To our county executive, who has been so supportive, thank you. To Labor, to all my fellow elected officials. There was an English playwright, George Bernard Shaw, who had a quote that was copied by Robert Kennedy in his 1968 campaign for the president. Very short quote. It said, "Some people see things as they are and say why. I dream dreams that never were and say why not." You're looking at two people from TriTech. You're looking at labor leaders. You're looking at elected officials. You're looking at leaders in Long Island, leaders like Kevin Law, Matthew, who have said repeatedly, why not? You've listened to this governor. She has said, why not? And that's when leadership comes. That's when you have transformation. That's when things change. That's when we come to renew the face of this island. We've seen the mistakes of the past because we've lived them. Now we say, why not? And that's what this project is about. If there's one thing that this project is about, it's about creating a new future for this island. It's creating and spelling out a new future. So I'll just leave you, a lot of speakers, I'll leave you with this. Why not? Thank you.
I don't know if I'm going to say that or not. Our next speaker is also no stranger to revitalization and economic development. And instead of why not, he says, where do you need me? And that's Neil Foley. And Neil says, hey, can I help you out in the town? Can I figure out how to arrange a meeting? Where do you need me at night to speak for at an organization or a public event? And he's constantly been out helping to beat the bandwagon, beat the drum, to say, hey, how do we help get this project to the next level? Neil, would you come up and say a few words? Thanks.
Morning. I first just want to say, Paul Panieri. A little early, Supervisor. I'm blessed to represent this area as well as Patchogue. And speaking of Patchogue, about 10, 12 years ago, Patchogue was struggling. And there was a vision of Jim and Bob, and they invested in the village of Patchogue. And the village of Patchogue is the model village in this country. So I thank you for doing that. And thank you, Mayor Pontieri. What's that? I also want to thank you for investing in Ronkonkoma. You are transforming this area. I have 4 kids, 3 teenagers. Hopefully one day they'll live here. They'll commute into the city. And without your vision, I don't know where they would be. And I want my children to stay on Long Island. So thank you very much. Good luck.
Our next speaker is Matt Cohen. Matt's the president, CEO of Long Island Association, the largest business organization on Long Island. As a LIA board member, I get to see Matt in action on a regular basis. When Kevin Law left to join TriTech a number of months ago, Matt had some very big shoes to fill, and he's done a fantastic job doing that. Matt's probably the best advocate I can think of. I know he's the best advocate for Long Island businesses. He knows what we need. He knows what our concerns are. He knows what housing needs we have. And he's always out there. I think Matt has been to every single one of our public hearings for years. He's showing up, advocating for positive economic change. Matt's a great asset for Long Island, and we're very happy to have him here today. Matt, would you mind coming up and saying a few words?
I think that if you're a speaker today, it's required that you thank your spouse and you thank Kevin Law. So thank you, Tracy, and thank you, Kevin Law, for hiring me at the county, at LIPA, and then at the LIA. TriTech and Empire State Development are very fortunate to have such a talented individual working for them. I also want to thank Governor Hochul for her hard work, for her authenticity, for her leadership, and for everything she's done for the state and will continue to do for the state as our governor. 2 of the biggest priorities we have on Long Island are making sure our region is a place where businesses can succeed and where young professionals can raise their families. And today we have a project that really speaks to both. TriTech Real Estate Company, a family-owned business that was born here, grew here, and has succeeded here. It shows that we can do it. Thank you, Bob and Jim and your family and the entire team at TriTech. And they've given us a project with the help of all of their partners that will make it more appealing for young professionals to stay here and raise their families. This is exactly the type of thing that we talk about all the time. And here, like Jim said, like about the governor, we're walking the walk. TriTech and its partners are walking the walk, just like they've done at numerous developments throughout Long Island. And as the county executive said, this is a project that has transcended political party, it's transcended municipal boundaries, and proven that if we all work together, we can create something special. Thank you very much.
Mitch Paley is the CEO of Long Island Builders Institute. And as Jim mentioned before, and I mentioned before, we've been doing this a very long time, Jim and I. Mitch has been doing it even longer. Mitch is someone that we rely on as a confidant, as somebody that we can go to as a close advisor. Mitch has been key in helping us get through the myriad of approval processes required for a project of this magnitude and size. Mitch, we truly appreciate your support, and would you mind coming up and saying a few words?
Thanks, Mitch. Thank you, Bob, and thank you, Governor Hochul, for coming. Many of you may know Jim Coughlin is the president of the Long Island Builders Institute, and we've been involved in a variety of projects. And I will tell you, I love going to groundbreakings and I love going to dedications because they show progress on Long Island. They show the ability of Long Island through all of our local governments to get something done. For too long, we've always been looked at as, well, nothing happens on Long Island. And we can show clearly from the dirt being moved here and in many other places on Long Island We were just at one in Lindenhurst a couple of weeks ago. I was at one in Amityville 2 weeks ago with Avalon Bay. These type of projects are now mushrooming throughout Long Island because they understand, not only do the local governments understand and the state government and the county government, because, I'll mention Steve Ballone's favorite word, which is sewers, and what that means to development on Long Island and the ability of the state to provide the financial assistance and the county to provide the financing for it. But it shows the progress that is being made here and our ability throughout all of Long Island to say, we are here, we are making progress, we're going to keep our young people here, and I know how important that is to our businesses, and we're going to give people a place to live, because that's what this is about. For 14 years, I had the honor and privilege of being the Suffolk County rep to the MTA board, and I would look at that, what I would agree would not the most beautiful parking garage, and say, what could go next to it? What could go in this community that would transform this entire area? This project is going to transform not only the Ronkonkoma area, but be a model for other places, not only on Long Island, but in the entire state of New York. And for that, we are truly privileged to be here, and we want to thank all of our partners, the state, the county, and the town, for making this happen, and for TriTech for saying this project is too important. We're going to make sure it happens. So thank you guys very much.
Our next speaker is Kevin Hims. Kevin is president of the Lake Ronkonkoma Chamber of Commerce. And we worked with Kevin and his predecessor, Denise Schwartz, from very early on. They were one of the first groups that we met. And they were instrumental in helping us through the design process and were provided fantastic support throughout the community. They also helped arrange community meetings and additional public support at our public hearing. So Kevin, would you mind coming up and saying a few words?
Good morning, everyone. I am Kevin Himes, president of the Ronkonkoma Chamber of Commerce. Today is especially a great day for the greater Ronkonkoma community and the region. After many years of planning, it is great to see Phase 2 of the Ronkonkoma Hub project underway. This project revitalizes the area around the Ronkonkoma train station, provides numerous temporary and permanent jobs, economic development, commercial and office space, and hundreds of residential units. I would like to thank TriTech for both the planning and implementation of this project and for the support and backing of the Town of Brookhaven, Suffolk County, and New York State, and welcome Governor to Ronkonkoma.
Next speaker is Dawn Hopkins. She's the president of Lake Ronkonkoma Civic Organization. The Lake Ronkonkoma Civic Organization, I believe that's no, not here. All right. I'm just going to tell you, though, that we did meet with the Lake Ronkonkoma Civic Organization. They were the first group that we met with, and they did help us in articulating what they believed the community wanted. They helped us through the design process to make sure it was going to fit into the fabric of the community. And now we've developed it, we're building it. So I want to thank Dawn and her predecessor, George Schramm, previously the president of the Civic Association. We worked with George a lot through those early years, and I appreciate their support. They coordinated a lot of outreach so we get input from the rest of the community as well. Our last speaker, batting cleanup, Kelly Coughlin-Heck. Kelly, besides being my daughter, is executive vice president at TriTech. She also is the lead developer on this project. And she's had her hands full this year. We just had a grand opening, which County Executive Balone and Mitch Pally helped us cut the ribbon at a couple of weeks ago on a 260-unit project in Lindenhurst. And she just, as a co-developer as well, at our Bayshore project, 418-unit project, she and Rob Kent. We just broke ground on that 2 weeks ago. So Kelly, would you mind coming up and just wrapping it up?
Good morning. I will be brief. I know I'm the one standing in between refreshments, but I do need to say a few thank yous and reiterate our sincere appreciation for the support from all levels of government. Thank you, Governor Hochul and County Executive Steve Bellone and all our county legislators, Town Supervisor Ed Romaine and town government, and all the elected officials and community stakeholders that help make this community-driven project, Ronkonkoma Hub, a reality today. As previously mentioned, this is a true public-private partnership. I also need to thank our Tri-Tech colleagues, my fellow colleagues that have continued to work on this project, principals Bob and Jim Coughlin, my co-developers Rob Kent and Jimmy Coughlin, as well as Linda Lobiondo, Ken Abrami, head of our building company, with project teams led by Tom Corona and Jen Yanucci, Marty DiPasquale, head of our pre-construction services, and his team, Hanukkah Talbot, our CFO, and her team, and Chris Kelly, head of our marketing. I want to thank our partners and our lenders, ING Capital, Empire State Development, Suffolk County Department of Economic Development and Planning, Town of Brookhaven IDA, the Long Island Association, Long Island Builders Institute, as well as the many, many consultants, legal counsel, and friends of labor that work tirelessly to get us to where we are today, including, but certainly not limited to, Sir Tillman Ballin, Aaron Fox, Farrell Fritz, Niles Bolton, H2M, VHB, BBV, RMS Engineering, Graylick, Joanne Bentavegna, Stuart Title, and Bizzuto. Thank you all again for coming today. Your support and your effort here today are the reason we are celebrating this next phase of Ronkonkoma Hub. And now we'll have the official groundbreaking. So with that.
On three. 1, 2, 3. Yeah! All right. Everyone got it?